Can't wait to tell you guys about this one. One of the best releases of the year is an American single malt. That's right. This 12-year-old American single malt whiskey was crafted to celebrate 20 years of Stranahans. Now, this is one of those whiskeys that was not on my radar at all this year, but a hot tip came in from a good friend who said you may want to check this one out. Find out why. Let's taste it, review it. It's the Mash and Drum. What's up, folks? I'm Jason C. from the Mash and Drum, and welcome back to the show. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, and thanks so much for all the support. I have a lot of whiskeys to get to in the next couple weeks because 'tis the season. Fall is coming upon us. September is here, and now this is when all the crazy releases start coming out. So Stranahan's is Colorado's first legal whiskey distillery since Prohibition. It's been a grain-to-glass operation that started when volunteer firefighter Jess Graber responded to a neighbor's barn fire back in 1998. Now, the barn he made an effort to save belonged to a Woody Creek local named George Stranahan, a longtime brewery owner and whiskey connoisseur. Now, when the fire settled, the two discovered they shared a passion for the Colorado outdoors and a good pour of good whiskey. From this relationship, Stranahan's Colorado whiskey was born. The two developed a recipe to make a Colorado American single malt using their local mountain surroundings to their advantage and releasing their first original bottle way back in 2006. Now, the new Stranahan's Founders release was crafted with Jess Graber, and as I mentioned, it's a 12-year-old whiskey celebrating 20 years of Stranahan's American single malt whiskey. Now, initially, this was aged for 8 to 11 years in charred New American white oak barrels. A portion of the whiskey was finished for another 1 to 4 years in a combination of ex-bourbon and ex-blonde ale casks, a nod to his beer brewing days. This is available now online for a price of about $215. All right, so like all Stranahan's bottles, it comes with this little tin screw top. Pop the cork, and let's get a pour. The color of this, it's super dark, especially for an American single malt, but 12-year-old American single malt, way different than you would get from a single malt that was aged in Scotland. Just again, you know, I think we've talked about American single malt. When you're aging in the United States versus Scotland, the climates are completely different. So you get to get a little bit more depth, a little bit more color when it comes to aging it here in a shorter period of time than you will in Scotland, which takes a little bit longer to impart a lot of that flavor that you're looking for, especially from an ex-bourbon cask. All right, let's dive in. Here we go. This thing smells so ridiculous. So one of the first Stranahan single malt single barrels I ever got, I remember having this really heavy apple cinnamon, apple pie note. And this has that, but it's almost like you left the apple pie in the stove too long. It's just a little bit, it was baking a little bit too long. Everything got a little bit caramelized. Maybe the sugar inside, the pie filling got a little bit burnt, a little extra crispy. That's what this smells like. Maple brown sugar note here. There's a nuttiness too. I think you can make a case for like pecan pie as well a little bit. But man, the nose on this thing, it's so confectionery. Lots of toffee. You get a honey too, but a little bit of a dark honey. You know, normally with American single malt, you're looking for like this rich chocolate note. And not really getting it too much on the nose. Right now on the nose, it's all sweet and, like I said, confectionery. A lot of ooey gooey sugar type of notes. All right, let's try it. Here we go. The palate's ridiculous. When I say ooey gooey, it tastes like that. I get more of the chocolate on the palate, as well as a little hint of maybe some coffee bean there too. But this just goes all into that toffee, apple cinnamon, pecan pie. Take the like the top of a coffee cake. You know, when you have like those sugary, what do they call them on top? The crumble, like that sugary crumble that's on top of like a coffee cake, and drizzle some toffee on top of it. Maybe some like pecans, and that is what you have in this glass. Now, it sounds overly sweet, but at the same time, it does give you a nice balance of flavors. It gives you some of the bittersweet from the chocolate and the coffee, but also that super sugary sweet from all those flavors that I mentioned. So I don't remember if I even mentioned, did I say it was 120 proof? I don't think I did. This is 120 proof, so it's a big, bold whiskey. And then what you have on the end, for me, is a ton of nutmeg. This is kind of Christmassy almost, in a way, in a glass where you get all this beautiful baking spice on the back end. You can make a case for some black pepper there as well, but there's a lot of those sweet flavors carry over to the back end as well. The more you sip it, it's almost like pralines and cream. This thing is ridiculous. Not on my radar at all this year. Didn't even realize this was coming out. Like I said, thanks to my buddy for calling this out to me, telling me how good this is. This thing's ridiculous. Now, if any of you out there are like, I don't like American single malt, I'm not drinking that, then yeah, because this is the bottle that could flip you. This is the bottle that could turn you into seeking out some really beautiful American single malts. Remember, Stranahan's is one of the first ones doing this. So they have a pedigree of making some fantastic whiskeys. And whether you like it or not, that's up to you. Everybody has their opinions. You know, nobody's wrong, nobody's right. It is what it is. But this one, I would say if you are not willing to give this a chance, I think you're just wrong, because it's that delicious. Yeah, it's apple coffee crumb cake. That's basically what it is. Cinnamon, nutmeg drizzled on top, maybe some pecans on there. It is so decadent and so good, yet somehow, some way, to me, it's not overly sweet. I think if this was a lower proof point, I think if they did bottle this at maybe 90, 95, maybe 98 proof, even 100 proof, I don't think it would, the boldness would stand up to all those sweet flavors, and maybe it would become a little bit overly sweet. The fact that they kept this at 120 proof is fantastic, and I think it really does help balance out all those sweet flavors, especially on that finish with how baking spice heavy it is. All right, last sip here. Yeah, front of the palate, pecan pie, apple cinnamon coffee cake, whatever you want to call it, especially when it hits the mid palate. There's a nice spice that just continues to linger on the front of my tongue that is just, I mean, from front to back, this thing just hits on all cylinders. This thing's crazy. Love the back palate as well. The finish, again, just gives me those nutmeg vibes, lots of like warming spice, but all those sweet flavors kind of wrapped together with that little bit of a pepperiness. There is a slight maltiness there, so if you're kind of scared of malty flavors, I think there is a twinge of it there, but honestly, I think the sweet flavors and all the balance that this provides really overtakes it. My buddy Scott from my bourbon journey, who does not like American single malts for the most part, he absolutely was floored by this, and so am I. So, all right, I think that's a wrap. Before we go to the final breakdown, it's time for today's question of the day. All right, so today's question of the day comes from WKFF Chameleons. He writes, question of the day consideration. To now follow up on the bottle that started it all, I know you were also a bit of a sneakerhead. That's true. I do love sneakers, and it's kind of my other passion besides whiskey. What was the shoe that started you down that journey? Let's get you some cross-pollination by talking more than just whiskey. Cheers. Great question. As you guys see, I always have this pair of custom Nikes behind me with the Mash and Drum logo on it. I had a great fan make those for me, which was really, really cool. But to answer your question, the pair that started for me was when I was a kid. The first pair of Jordans I ever got was a pair of Air Jordan 4 white cements. Those were the first pair of Air Jordans I ever got as a kid, and it kind of started me into really loving shoes. That was the pair that really sparked my interest, along with, I don't know if you remember these, but you remember David Robinson from the San Antonio Spurs? He had a pair of high tops that were black and white, and I believe the bottom back of it had like this bright green with black spatter paint on the heel. I'll throw some pictures up here once I find it. And that shoe also kind of jump-started my interest in sneakers as well. So once kind of the whole sneaker thing was out of my radar, or off my radar, I should say, I found someone that I worked with, and he was wearing a pair of Air Jordan white cement 4s. I'm like, dude, how do you have those? He goes, well, Nike releases retros of these all the time, and you can get sneakers that you had as a kid now as an adult. And that kind of started me down the rabbit hole. I was searching for all the different shoes that I had when I was a kid, and even new ones coming out, and now it's a whole nother thing. Sneakers have kind of gone the way like whiskey. There's flippers and all this stuff. It's crazy, but that was the sneaker that did it. It was the Air Jordan white cement 4. All right, guys, if you have a question of the day, please leave it below in the comments. Write hashtag QOTD. Write your question, and if I like it, I will address it on the next episode. All right, final breakdown on this one. All right, final breakdown on the Stranahan's Founders 12-year American Single Malt. Price for this one, $215. As far as resale market value, I have not seen these, which brings me to availability. Availability is, it's available. So you can actually find these right now online. You could buy it direct from Stranahan's if you want. And now I'm going to tell you right now, Stranahan's did not tell me about this whiskey. I have no connection to Stranahan's. I just went online and I bought it myself, and it came to my door, and now I have it, and it's delicious. So if you want to buy a bottle of this, I know it's a little bit pricey at $215, but it is delicious, and it is available now. Value for this one, I'm just going to say it's even. I'm not really sure what the market is for an American single malt to this age at 12 years old. There's not many of these on the market with this type of age profile, especially an American single malt. I know there are a few out there, but $215, you know, normally I might say it's below average, but I'm going to say this is even because it's just that damn good. Most I'd pay for this one is definitely going to be retail. And as far as alternatives, I don't know if I've tasted anything like this from an American single malt distiller recently, especially with this much sweetness to it. What I can give you is a couple of other brands to try, like Cedar Ridge has some incredible American single malts. I would say Old Line out of Maryland. Cedar Ridge is out of Iowa, by the way. Westward, who does some really great stuff with their cask strengths. So there is some really good American single malts being crafted today, and actually most of them are outside of Kentucky, if not all of them. And lastly, is this a skip, a try before you buy, a buy, or buy and back it up? I'm telling you, if this still just sits around, this is probably a buy and back it up. I think it's that delicious. Now again, you have to be at least somewhat open to American single malt. Now look, if you've tried other American single malts, well, here's what I'll say. If you've had like Bullet American single malt, or what was that nasty Jim Beam American single malt that's out there, Claremont Steep? Yeah, no, that is not good American single malt, and I will keep harping on that. That is not good. It's not great. It's not what really good quality American single malt tastes like that's out there on the market. This and brands like Cedar Ridge and Old Line and Westward and Westland and McCarthy's and a bunch of others that are actually making really incredible American single malt. The big brands in Kentucky that are trying to make American single malt are really the ones playing catch up. They're not the ones really driving the market. Brands like Stranahan's are, and I think this is a beautiful representation of what American single malt could be. So if you haven't had it yet, I think this is definitely one you should at least buy. And then I think if you like it enough as much as I do, you might end up backing this one up, especially if it's still available. So yeah, there you go. This one could be a dangerous pick at the end of the year. We'll see what happens. All right, guys, thanks for watching this review on the Stranahan's 12-year Founders release, American Single Malt, here on the Master and Drum. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button below. Please hit the like button, and if you haven't yet, follow me on Instagram. Let me know down in the comments if you were able to score one of these, if you took the plunge, bought it, what you think of it. And as I always say, it's not about the whiskey, it's the people you share it with. Cheers, and I'll see you next time right here on the Master and Drum. This is like dessert fat kid whiskey. Oh my God, I love it.